Hey everyone, welcome to WittCode, where in this video we're going to learn about the stack data structure. We're also going to code a stack from scratch using JavaScript. So what is a stack? So a stack is a data structure that follows the last in, first out principle, or LIFO. This means the elements are added and removed from the top of the stack only. So in our example here, if we push the element 1 onto the stack, it's now the only element, it's on the top. Now we push another element, and it's 2, it's on top of 1. Now we push another element, it's 3, it's on top. And now if we want to perform a pop, which means removing an element, it'll remove the one on the top, which in this case is 3. So now we're 2 and 1. And then if we perform another pop, the next one, of course, it'll be the element on the top, which is 2. Now we have 1. And then if we do another pop, the stack will be empty. So elements are only added and removed from the top of the stack. And what this means is that if we wanted to remove the bottom element from a stack, every element on top of it would have to be removed first. So say in our stack here, we have 3, 2, 1 on top of each other. If we wanted to remove the element 1, we'd have to remove 3, then 2, before we could remove 1. And now a real life example of a stack can be just thought of a stack of plates. Usually when you have a stack of plates, you add plates and remove plates from the top of the stack. So a computer science related example is the call stack of a program. So the JavaScript interpreter uses a stack to keep track of the program it is executing in the web browser. So let me show you this actually. So here I have a simple script that what it is. If we go to the source code, look at index.html. Here is my code. We have 3 functions, the first function, the second function, and the third function. If I put a breakpoint in here, actually I should probably zoom in a bit. You can actually see the word call stack right here. Now if I refresh this page like this, we can see inside this call stack we have 3 elements: our third function, our second function, and our first function, and then anonymous, which basically means not inside a function. So what's going on here is when a script calls a function, that function is added to the top of the call stack, and then when a function is finished, it's removed from the top of the stack. So here we call our first function like this. What this does is calls here, so we push the first function onto our call stack. So it's here. Then after that, we call the second function. So we push the second function onto the call stack, which is why it's on top of that one. Our second function calls the third. So the third is pushed on top. And then after we step through this, so watch the call stack here. So we step through the third function. We've passed that. So now it's been removed. We can see we have second function. Now if we finish the second function, all we have is the first function. And we step through this. Our call stack is now just back to the anonymous, or basically it's not inside any function. And then, of course, when we play that through, we'll be finished. But so let's start coding a stack now. And of course, we're going to do this from scratch using JavaScript. And to start, let's create our stack constructor. So I'm going to use it as a class. And actually, I'm just going to copy and paste the code in here. So we have a stack constructor, which consists of the top of the stack, the bottom of the stack, and the size of the stack, or basically how many elements are in it. And what we should also do is let's create an element to represent something in a stack. So one of the elements inside a stack. So we'll call this stack element. And what this has is the value, so whatever value it is, and then below. So what element is below it? Because on the stack, so for example, the value here is 3, and what's below it is 2. The value here is 2, what's below it is 1. So that's what this represents, one of these squares right here. So now let's focus on adding to a stack. And we're going to do this with a method called push. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste the code and then go over what it does. So essentially, first we just create a new stack element or a new one of these squares. Next, if the stack is empty, which basically means if there's no top element, then the stack is empty. So the top and bottom are this new element. So here, say it's empty like it is right here, and we push an element on. This element right here, number 1, is the top and also the bottom. However, if the stack is not empty, what we do is we create a reference to the previous top because there's going to be a new top added. So this is the top before the new element is added. We set the top to the new stack element because say we're adding 2, the new stack element is 2, so the top is now 2 because on a stack you always add and remove from the top. And then we set below of the top to the previous top. So we set the top to the new element, and then because 2 is now on top of 1, 1 is below 2. So we set the below property to the previous top. Then we just increment the size and return the size. And now just a quick note is as an element added to a stack is always added on the top, the time complexity for the insertion of an element is always big O of 1, or constant time. Because no matter how many elements are in this, it's always just going to be added right on the top, which is just constant time. And now let's write the code to remove from a stack. And we're going to do this inside a method called pop. And it's not, I'm also going to copy and paste this in here. So we have push, and now we have pop. And so once again, we first check if the stack is empty, which means there's no element on the top. If it is, then we return null because nothing was removed. Then we create another reference to the previous top. If the top reference is the same as the bottom, which basically means there's only one element, so right here, 1 is both the top and the bottom, then we set the bottom equal to null, because of course the bottom will be removed. Then we set the top equal to what's below it, because of course the top was removed. Then we decrease the size by 1, and then return the value of the previous top. And now let's create one more method, which is just going to be observing the element on the top of the stack. And we'll do that inside a method called peek. And of course, this one's going to be pretty simple, as all we do is if the stack is empty, so there's no reference for this top, we return null. Whereas if not, we just return the value of the top element. But so this is all there is to creating a stack from scratch. So now let's just instantiate one and perform these methods and see what we get. I actually have some here, some code, of course, I'm just going to paste in. So we create our stack, we're going to push 1, we're going to peek, and each time see what we get. And for the final one, let's actually do JSON.stringify and format our object so we can see it better in the terminal. So if we run this, which is just node stack.js, so first we push 1 onto the stack. So if we look at the top, it's element 1. Then if we push 2 on top and we peek, it's 2. So on with 3 and 4. Then we perform a pop, and now what's on top is 3 because 4 was removed. We do it again, and there's 2. And now if we just log out the whole stack, we can see the top element, so value 2, and below that is 1. And of course, below the bottom element, which is 1, is always going to be null. If we just, let me just log out the whole stack here. Let me just log the whole thing out. We can see we have 4, 3, 2, 1. So what's below 4 is 3, below 3 is 2, and so on. But that's all it takes to create a stack with JavaScript. You can, of course, simplify this even further by just using array methods like pop and push, though I think it's better to understand what's going on exactly with object references. But this is my video on how to code a stack from scratch with JavaScript. If you have any questions, leave them for me in the description. I'll try and get back to you. But besides that, thank you for liking and subscribing. If you want to support me more, please consider installing my Chrome extension called WittCode, link in the description. But besides that, have a good one.